I'm Brad with the Practical Outdoorsman. Today, we're going to be talking about dock shooting.
All right, here we are on the water again. What are we doing today, Brad?
We're doing dock shooting today. We're going to talk about all the basics of it, how to select a rod or reel, how to do it, how to execute it. I'll tell you, if you ever shot slingshots as a kid, you're going to love dock shooting.
And if you were bad at slingshots as a kid like me, you'll get there eventually. You know, it's just part of it.
So let's walk through it. All right, so when it comes to dock shooting, you don't have to spend a ton of money. What you're going to look for is a rod that's got a good backbone to it, but is really limber up here in the tip. So you see how I can really bend this out, and that's going to be critical. I prefer a single piece rod. I know a lot of guys that shoot with two piece. Some guys say they prefer it because that second part can really bend. My personal experience is where they join, that tends to come loose, and I'm fighting it all day. I just find it annoying. You can do open face, you can do closed face, you can even do underspins. Personally, I prefer this. I've been experimenting with underspins lately, and I'm starting to really like them too. I got a friend that he only does closed face and has a great time. So really easy to do. When you're dock shooting, the most important thing, for the love of all things holy, if you listen to nothing else in the video, listen to this. When you grab the jig head, you want to grab it by the jig head with that hook facing away from you. You do not want to grab it like this. That will be a bad day. You do not want to grab it by the hook. I see a lot of people want to grab it by the hook because they think, well, if I'm holding the hook, it can't get me. This is a bad day.
Yep, that barb can still get you.
Right, sideways could be a bad day. I've taught a lot of people how to do this. Everyone's always nervous about it when they first start, but I'm telling you, if you hold it by the jig head with that hook up, you are not going to hook yourself. I have dock shot thousands of times. I've never hooked myself. No one I've taught has hooked themselves. This is the way you want to do it.
Let's just say the bear is notorious for cutting himself and hooking himself with things, and have yet to do it dock shooting by holding it the way Brad's talking about holding it. So yeah, he's right about that.
So when you're starting, you want to bring it pretty close to your first eyelet here. And that way you're having consistency in how far you pull it back. And then it's a two-step method. If you're doing an open face reel, I like to have the reel loaded up like this, just like I would if I was regularly casting it. So I don't have to worry about that line wrapping around. And I grab the jig head and we load the rod. And it's going to be a 1-2 action. I'm going to let go with the jig head first, and just milliseconds later, I'm going to release the top line. Now you'll notice if you look at my hand, I'm just holding it on the pad of my finger, like you would the trigger of a gun. And I'm not necessarily holding it all the way up to the blank, just keeping tension on it, which allows me then to load the rod. Now, one surefire way to get your timing right is to watch the jig. So you'll see when I release this jig, it'll start to fly out. When it reaches the end of the rod tip and it's going to start its flight, I can gauge from its trajectory when I want to release this line and how to control it. So I'm going to shoot into this open dock here real quick. I'm going to get close to the water. I want to get my rod blank parallel to the water, and I want to get the line parallel to the water. So everything's parallel to the water. I'm pulling back to load it. Boom. And just like that, we're fishing. This is so much fun. One of the things I love about dock shooting is, when I'm at home and I'm thinking I wish I was fishing, I can just get this out and I can set up targets. You start with a 5-gallon bucket, move your way into a solo cup can, move yourself into, a little piece of paper, whatever you want, and you can get deadly accurate with this. One mistake I made early on that no one talks about is I wanted to really zing this thing under there. And so I loaded the rod pretty hard to shoot it. Well, what happens with that, especially once it leaves and that trajectory starts to go up, you may get low and get under the dock like you're aiming for, but that jig head's going to go up. And if you've got trussing or anything under the docks, it's going to wrap a lot. And so what you're going to find is it really doesn't take a whole lot of force to get a good solid 20, 30 feet with the jig. This happens to be a 32nd ounce jig head with a Bobby Garland body on it. And again, you're going to see me just sit here. Now look at that. I didn't open the bail, right? Always something. But I saw it flip up, and I was like, well, that had to be a problem on release hand. The problem was not opening the bell. But here we go. Now you see I'm a little higher this time because I'm trying to get around this dock. Through that same spot, 2 for 2. So let's go ahead. Let's get up here on a boat where we've marked some fish. And let's shoot up in there and see how it works when you're trying to avoid a bunch of obstacles. Okay, so boat control is important. If you got a lot of wind or a lot of wake, it can make this a little more difficult. But you don't want to be too close to the object you're shooting, because you've got to remember the tip of your rod is going to come up, and you want to make sure it's not going to hit whatever you're trying to get around. So in this case, you know, I'm going to try to go down this the side of this pontoon right here, and I've got room for days. But if I was a little bit closer, it might be more difficult. Sorry. So I'm going to come in here, see how low I am to the water. I made it all the way back to that gangplank back there. Now, we don't have active target, so I know they're here. I don't know how deep they are. I'm just going to reel back around 5 feet or so and just see if we happen to get lucky and get a hit here. You see that we're just bringing it back real slow. That's important. It's kind of like fishing a plastic worm. You know, if you think you're fishing it too slow, slow down. Because if you get going too fast, you're going to raise that jig up in the water column. Now you notice I'm here, I'm kind of vertical jigging at this point, because a lot of times they'll follow me out, and I'll give them a second to think about it. And then when I come up, it's still a real slow reel to begin, because oftentimes when I start that reel, I'll feel the weight of the fish as they take it. So I want to make sure I give them plenty of time.
Pausing is huge, almost in any fishing. I found, I mean, bass fishing, crappie fishing, a lot of fishing, except brim, because brim are dumb. But the or panfish, if you will. But crappie fishing especially, giving just a 1 or 2 pauses here and there helps them just maybe want to sink in on that thing for sure.
So like if you look at this particular boat, a lot of times these are hard to get under, especially if you got 3 flotation devices under them on this lift. I'm going to try to shoot in between that left and right, or the left and the center float. And you can see I don't have much room. And this is where I'm not going to hit it real hard. Even as lightly as I did, I still made it all the way back to the gangplank. So on that shot there, if you watch the jig head, you'll see the trajectory. And you'll notice that I released a little late as it was going up, and you'll see that it gained a good bit of loft in this open dock. It never broke the plane of the dock, but it went up higher than I wanted to. So let's try that again. I'm going to try to release it a little lower this time. So you see that time I released it just a little bit earlier, and it stayed a lot flatter. I didn't put as much power on it, so it only went maybe 20 feet or so. Certainly could have put more power and got it further, but that's how you can judge your timing of the release of the jig head versus the line. I might regret this choice.
Barefoot Brad there.
Barefoot Brad. There we go. Got this little guy. I got him in the bottom of the mouth.
Brad's got bare feet. I have bare arms.
Get that hook in there. There we go. Caught him in the bottom of the mouth, which is unusual.
He shot right under there and was back just a little bit in there. How deep do you think you were fishing on that one, Brad? Not that that's super relevant currently, but
yeah, 3 feet maybe.
3 or 4 feet?
Yeah, no, it was pretty shallow.
So were you reeling back in already? Was it just on the fall?
No, I was reeling in.
Okay.
I hadn't reeled in very far. I did shoot well under there. I got all the way to the front floats of the boat over there, and he was pretty much where we thought he'd be there in the front of that boat.
Nice.
You know, dock shooting's really not that hard, and don't discount it. You know, it just takes a little bit of practice, but even kids can do it. You know, my 10-year-old son goes out with me just last weekend, and he shot under a dock, caught a crappie. He was shooting back 20, 30 feet. You know, it just takes a little bit of practice, but definitely don't think, well, my kid's too young, he can't do this. Or, you know, my dad's too old, he can't do this.
There you go. Brad knows about that, being old and getting things done still. That's good. No, Brad has helped me learn how to dock shoot. He's still the sharpshooter. I'm still learning, but getting better and better. It's really not as hard as it might seem at first. With just a little bit of practice, you can get there.
I just think it's a ton of fun. To me, that is, if I'm going to go out and fish, I love to fish that way. And I find myself, even like when I'm brim fishing and things, if I have a hook that's suitable for it, a lot of times I'll do it just to get under cover or something and not have to cast.
There are times when it's really satisfying. You get into that one spot that seems like, ooh, and you just hit that one good shot, almost as good as landing the fish that you can pull out of that spot as well. In that, if you guys have different tips or different ways you dock shoot or something, feel free to comment below. Let us know what you do. We love learning and seeing what other people do. And so share with the community, the whole thing, what you guys have found works for you.
Yeah, make sure to like and share. If you're not already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on our journeys. We do more than fishing, but we sure like to fish.
Yep. See you next time.